Hello. Welcome to my closet. And today is 7:05 January 27th, 2015. Okay. So, I'm here to talk about something that I really love, and that's watching movies. Okay. Well, so I watch tons of movies, and lately I've been looking into a lot of twist ending type movies, or you'll never guess how this one ends and stuff like that. And so I watched a movie like last week called The Body 2012. Because if you type in The Body, I got a movie by Antonio Banderas, so make sure you type in 2012 when you do that. And anyway, it's a Spanish movie, so subtitles. And the big draw of the movie I kept hearing about was, you'll never guess how this thing ends. Awesome twist and stuff. I didn't see that coming. That kind of usual fare. So I checked it out. I don't know anybody in the cast. Like I said, all Spanish. But the plot intrigued me. Basically, this guy gets injured, and the police go and investigate, and they find that he was working at this morgue, and a body has gone missing at the morgue, and somehow his injury connects to this body, stuff like that. So, okay. So let me go back. Let me start at the beginning again. All right. So the part that got to me was the missing body thing. That was interesting. Hearing it has this whole twist. Okay, I gotta check it out. So I watched. So let's see. It starts with the guard, and the guard's like running through the forest. He's clearly terrified of something. Keep looking back behind him, and then he runs onto the road. He's so scared of whatever's chasing him that he doesn't bother to look where he's running. So he runs straight onto the road. There's a car coming, like a car is coming this way, and then I need to put this down. He's walking into the road, and then the car just slams into him, and then boom! Oh, it's like boom, flying around. Oh gosh, and he figure out he's dead. He's gone, but he's not dead. He's in the hospital. And one of your main characters shows up, who is the investigator who's called upon the scene to investigate, find out what happened to him. The guard is older guy, but they find out that he was working at a morgue. So the guy gets called in to investigate. They find out that the old guy works at a morgue, right? So they decide to travel to the morgue. Okay, so they decide to travel to the morgue where the guy was stationed at, and that's where they find that a couple of strange things. He meets his team there, so there's a bunch of them. It's like one girl, one guy, I don't know, forensics team, so on and so on. But the security guy was at a desk, and he had a bunch of cameras. But all the cameras have been taken out except one, and that's the camera that. Get comfortable, okay. Okay, so the only camera that's still up, is the one that's facing the guard. So there's one camera that was on the guard at his desk, and that's the only one that's still on. Like someone wanted them to see him. Anyway, they watch the camera. I guess there's no sound, but all we know is that he sees something on the cameras. So at that point, the cameras were still up. He goes to investigate, and 5 minutes later, he comes back running down the stairs, and we know what happened to him. Okay. So sometime between when he left the desk and then running out, the camera must have been disabled, and for some reason they wanted to show just the one that showed him on the camera. They wanted them to see this. or the other detective says either they're inept or there's a purpose of it. There's a reason for it. Then the other weird thing is they find a missing body in the morgue. Okay, so I'm interested right away. That grabs me because I want to know. Well, I'm like, this better be good. So the next thing they do is start investigating the body, and turns out to be the body of Maika. Sound Russian or something, but some blonde chick, very powerful, who happened to she owns many companies, including the company. She's married. Her husband is the director of a pharmaceutical company, or some kind of chemical agent, some kind of chemical thing, and she happens to own the company that he works for. That implies something, you know. I mean, if I was paying attention more, I might have been considering the fact that maybe she got him the job, you know. Anyway, then the movie goes over to the husband. They're looking for him to find out what he knows or whatever. And when the movie goes over to him, he's the other main character in this thing. I mean, you get to see right away. Let me skip that. It turns out we see him on a bike, and he was at lady had two sisters, and so you got to see the two sisters, and then he was at their house and they're comforting him. He's laying in bed because he's like, oh, apparently the wife just died this morning, so the missing body of the lady's missing body just went missing this morning. So you see him leave the house and go on his bike, and he's driving to this house, and it turns out that he goes in the house and there's this lady there, and then right away they start kissing, and then oh shit, he was cheating on her. Not only that, it turns out he killed her. That's not a spoiler. That's actually part of the plot. It happens very early in the movie. So now we know what happened to the body. I mean, we know that the person in the morgue. I mean, we know that the lady was murdered by her husband. So right away you're supposed to hate this guy, because if you look at his attire and everything, he looks like the biggest douchebag in the world. He's got glasses on and shaggy hair like me, and he just looks like, you're gonna hate. You're supposed to want to hate this guy. He just killed his wife and was cheating on her with someone else. Not cool at all. Anyway, he thought it was the perfect crime. He got away with it. Because of his job, as I was mentioning earlier, his chemical job or whatever allowed him to poison her with TH16 or something like that, TQ16, TH16, TX16, something like that. Some kind of chemical agent that when put into wine or whatever would allow him to kill her, and then it would digest it would look like a cardiac arrest of her heart. And something about she was overexcitable, she traveled a lot, so it would look reasonable. And then he would 8 hours later it would disappear. 8 hours later it would disappear from the body, and there would be no trace of the poison left. So it was the perfect crime until he gets a phone call from a detective who tells him your wife's body is missing, and just puts him back into the whole story. And you see he's shocked. So he did not put the body anyplace. He's looking at the girlfriend, and then the camera zooms in on him, zoom, and he's like, he's on the phone, hello, and he's like, what? And then he's like, he's talking to the detective on the phone. Camera zooms in on his face, and he's like, look at this, what? Something like that, or whatever the heck they did in Spanish. And now he's called into the police. He has to go down to the morgue to help out. He can't look suspicious. So now we know he's the murderer already, and that's not what the story is about. But he doesn't know what the heck happened to the body either. His perfect crime just became the perfect screw up, or something like that. And now he is panicking, and we're enjoying watching him panic. So he goes down to the office. Down to the morgue where he is interrogated. And while he's being interrogated, you're going back and forth between the current day with the detective who's talking to him, And you also going back with flashbacks between that and his wife and how they met and all that kind of stuff. And you get to find out a lot about why he might have done what he did, and you can understand why after you watch a bit of it. I mean, oh man, there's this scene with the wife, and he's proposing to her. It's the first time you get to see Mecca, and he's proposing to her, right at the altar, and he said, no, not proposing to her, but the minister, whatever, is announcing their man and wife, and he says, "Do you take this man to be your lawfully with your husband?" And then right in front of everybody, she says, "No." And he's like, "What? What are you doing? You know, what are you saying?" And she says, I can't marry you, not like this." And he's like, has that look of incredulity on his face, and he's looking at his whole family, saying, "You do this to me in front of my whole family?" It's close, and then suddenly she just like puts a hand out like this. It's like, come here. He's like, of course I do, and stuff like that. And it's like, holy shit, what the hell? Already, right away, you know, there's something wrong with this lady's head. I mean, she likes to control people. You can tell right away because of that. Like, how do you do that? How do you play with that guy's emotions like that? It's so cruel. So, and then throughout the thing, you see more of these flashbacks, and you can understand why he went down that road. Anyway, so so then the detectives are trying to figure out what's going on, and he is trying to figure out a way out of this whole situation. He gets his girlfriend involved in it, and they're all trying to. Him and her are trying to. She's doing one thing, he's doing another. He asks her to go check out the guy at the hospital. Check on the old man who got hit in the car accident, and see if he woken up or anything, because he's in a coma, but he's not dead. If he wakes up, he might be able to say something or whatever. He's the key to this, since if they can find out why he ran away, maybe he might know something. He would know something. We're still waiting for him to wake up, which of course he will. Anyway, there's this really disgusting scene at one point where apparently someone's playing with him throughout the whole movie, and he starts to get the idea that maybe his wife didn't actually die, and that she's playing with him because that's what she likes to do. She likes to play games with him. She likes to control him. She's always reminding him that he only has his job because of her, and all kinds of other things. You know, just playing games with him constantly, pretending like she was going to divorce him. And she introduces one guy as her lawyer, you know, and then you won't like it. He's like, who's that guy? And he's like, you won't like it. You know, I am redoing the contracts on the property or something, the property division. So in case we divorce, you know, that we're gonna divide property in a different way, and like you don't get anything. And then she was like, I'm just kidding. And oh gosh, she's always toying with him, but he always taking it so seriously too. Anyway, he at one point. So he starts thinking that maybe she's alive, because she's just that kind of person who would do that, who would be fake her death, figure out what he was doing, fake her death, and then come off and haunt him by playing games with him, eventually getting him to confess or arrest himself or something like that. So at one point, incriminating evidence is discovered, photos or something, proving that he was having an affair at the time that she was, or something like that. I don't know. And he goes into the bathroom. He tries to flush the incriminating evidence down the toilet. It doesn't work. The toilet doesn't work, and the police come in and they're knocking on the door. They're telling him, "Come on, we have to go. What are you doing? What are you doing in there?" And he says, I'm sick." And then he has to eat the pieces of paper off the. He couldn't figure out another way to get rid of the paper, and he couldn't risk himself being incriminated on that shit. So he puts his hand into the toilet and picks it up and starts eating the paper in his mouth. Oh my god, that made me cringe. I mean, I know it's a movie, but then that made me cringe, like physically. I was like, disgusting. Oh gosh. And you see him now. You say, I'm sick. Now he is sick. He starts like, ooh. And then the guy actually believes it, because he really is sick now. Swallowing. And by the way, that toilet was nasty. It was like, it was all brown. and it looked like sewage water had come off. People had thrown up in there. A couple of people took a shit in there and didn't flush, mixed it around and made soup out of it. Oh my god, sick! And he's eating the damn toilet paper out of that bowl. Oh god, it's disgusting. Anyway, he's come up with. Essentially, the movie is like a big revenge tale on him. He's getting everything he deserved for what happened, but it's not exactly what he thinks. So then halfway through the movie, let me say. Well, no, it keeps going one direction, but you're kind of getting to the point where it starts to become like a horror movie, because more and more mysterious things starts happening. At one point he actually sees his wife, so he can't even be sure what's real anymore. I'm pretty sure, but I was never fooled by that part. I mean, he saw his wife standing in the corridor, but I was pretty sure that was just him imagining stuff, because at that point he was kind of freaking out already. But he starts freaking out as the story goes on. They're more and more suspicious. They're not, the detectives are not stupid. They know he's crazy at this. I mean, they know he's hiding something at this point, and he is starting to lose his own mind, figuring that his wife is everywhere and she's setting him up for something. Wants him to confess. So you think it's gonna go one way, kind of. I don't know. But people were talking about the whole twist of the movie, and they were saying that, I couldn't believe it, could never see it and everything. And to tell you the truth, I actually figured out the twist. I don't get too many twists on movies. Like The Sixth Sense, I never saw that coming. But that was an amazing twist. And it's hard to find that same feeling again in a movie. But this movie, I saw the twist coming. That really happens to me. But I actually saw that one for once. Granted, it took me a whole night. Like, I was up a long time. I watched the movie like up to near the ending. I watched the movie like 3 or 4 times before I get to the obviously what's gonna happen. The twist gonna be revealed. I watched like 3 or 4 times to get it, to see if I could figure it out before it happened, and I did. Part of it is probably because I've seen a couple of movies that reminded me of this, sort of. So it helped me. I was kind of ahead of the game in that case. So, okay. So at this point, I should probably have said earlier, but I'm gonna put it in the headline, in the title anyway. But spoiler alert, obviously. Alright, I'm gonna tell the whole story. So if you're interested in watching it, don't come watch this first. But the twist might be shocking to other people, maybe, I don't know. But it wasn't to me. But it was still cool. It was still nice. I mean, the whole thing has this logical design in there. So if you are smart enough, or if you keep watching it, you pay attention a bit, you pick it up before it happens. Now, so what happens is there's a second story going on doing all of this, which involved the detective. At one point, our bad guy with the glasses here, the murderer, he says something like, "Did everything that happened today, none of this was by accident." So that made me think right away that, okay, if nothing is by accident, then that means the detective who's here is also not by accident. He was here for a reason. So I started looking into his story more. And the first thing on the scene when he came to the hospital to see the old man, one of the other detectives talking to him says something about, "Oh, you talked to Emma," and you find out later on Emma is his daughter, and then you also find out later on some more. You slowly find out little bits and pieces about him, but it's so subtle and small. Well, not subtle, but it's so minuscule and small that you start to think, that you're figuring that that's just a way of. You might think it's just introducing, getting to know more about him, but you don't. But it doesn't really go any further than that. You think it's just little character development, I think. But to me, when you start doing something like that, plus when the guy said nothing was a coincidence, I start thinking right away, okay, he's a target. I'm going to figure out who this guy is. And since they're not giving me much information, he must be very important. All I know is he has a daughter and his wife got killed some time ago, but I never quite figured out when. I don't think they specify earlier in the movie how long ago his wife died. But he has a daughter. His wife died. That's all we know about him. So I start thinking about well, if it's not a coincidence that he's here for something, and all I can think about is I don't know, that I'm not really sure how to put this. Well, I'm trying to figure out how this is all connected. Not the first thing. I don't think the first thing I thought of, but then I kept coming back to what if What if either Maker or or murderer guy, the husband, what if he killed the wife? But I couldn't figure out why, and it didn't seem to bother them. You would think that they'd be wallowing in their guilt if that was the case. But then I found it, the key to the whole thing. Maker kept telling him about something that happened in the past, and she kept saying how, you know, you always have you always label things, even the bad days. And she kept hinting twice in the movie. She hinted at something that happened in the past that they don't talk about. We don't talk about those things. How come we don't talk about it? And then that got me going. That's it. I could figure it out from there. Plus, the first shot of our main guy, detective, is coming out of a shower, and that reminded me of the movie Basic with John Travolta, and the first shot of him is coming out of a shower as well, and he has muddy feet, and that was the whole clue to the whole thing, that he was the guy who instigated everything in the first place. So the detective coming out of the shower, while not really a connection to anything, kind of to me right away told me that he was removing evidence from himself. Probably was the case actually. But if I hadn't seen Basic, I might not have put that together. But as soon as I saw that scene, I went back, and as soon as I saw, a lot of times the introduction of a character is very important, right? So I see him coming out of the shower, and the first thing I think, no, it can't be. That can't be the thing. No way. It can't be. That's so stupid. And it was. I couldn't figure how the daughter fit into it. But then that part comes out later. But I got the whole plot twist. So what happens is, eventually the old man wakes up, and he tells them over the phone that what chased him away was a guy. He saw Maker's body in the elevator, and then the elevator closed in the morgue, right? And then the elevator opened up, and a guy was in there, and he shot at him with a gun. And that made him run off into the woods. Wouldn't you? You're about to get killed by somebody. So, okay, so now we know somebody was in there who apparently shot at a guy. I know it's kind of weird and suspicious. Although, honestly, to me, that didn't lead up to anything. But I gotta give some closure to all the different parts, right? So, the doctor, what am I talking about? Well, technically the guy was the so the husband, the murderer guy, he gets all anxious, and he decides to call it quits. I'm gonna confess. I'm gonna do what my wife wants me to do. He figured apparently the wife had hired an investigator. I talked about earlier the lawyer. She introduced the guy who was supposed to be a lawyer. Turns out that guy wasn't her lawyer. That guy was her private eye detective, I guess. And basically, she had hired a detective some months ago to investigate her husband. Who she was suspecting of infidelity. And he figured, okay, so she figured out what I was doing. She knew everything. She had pictures and everything like that. And the pictures he ate earlier, something like that. Anyway, all this evidence that kept showing up throughout the movie led back to the fact that she figured it out. She hired a detective. He figured it out, gave it to her, and she planned for it, knowing that she was going to come and kill him, knowing that he was going to kill her one day. She faked it. She switched glasses because he killed her by making her drink wine in the bathtub. She switched the glasses out, and she drank her something else. And she's not dead, and she's playing games with him, and she wants him to confess. So he decides to kind of give up the jig and confess to the whole thing that he did. He committed the murder. Goes to the detective, tells him everything. Tells him, how he killed her, what happened, everything that happened, why he did it. Just he stopped feeling alive with her in her presence. She had smothered him to the ground, and he had lost all the will to live. And he knew that he couldn't just divorce her because she was so powerful and so vengeful about the whole and she would treat it as a game. So if he tried to surrender, if he tried to have a divorce, she would never have it, and she would ruin him. Not only would he lose his job, but he would lose I don't know, just why get involved with that? Why get involved with her in the first place then? If you knew that, I guess the moral of the story is never get involved with powerful people. Never marry a powerful person, because they'll screw you over. Especially don't marry a powerful chick, I guess. Hell have no fury kind of thing. So he knew that he could never divorce her because that would kill everything. But he wanted to be with his new girlfriend, who he met when he was on his professor job. He was a teacher, and he met her as she was a student, college. So she's older student. Then he hadn't felt alive in so long, or so many years. She made him feel alive again, and So she killed. She left her. She had a boyfriend. She left him for our guy, but he wouldn't leave his wife, and so she demanded that he would leave his wife. Otherwise, I can't see each other anymore because I don't want to be deceitful to somebody else. So you have to leave your wife. Otherwise, I can't be with you. And he wanted to be with her so badly. He couldn't stop thinking. He tried to, and he couldn't stop thinking of her. So he had to concoct a way to kill her. That meant, actually, if you think about it, that means that she instigated the killing of her, not him. She kind of forced him into it when he was kind of lovesick and stuck in love and shit. So he concocted a plan, killed her. And we know the rest of the story. Into the body went missing. So he figures she's faking it and she wanted me to do this. So I'm giving up because I can't take any more of this stuff. So then they find out. Then they get a call, and it turns out that a body has been found in the middle of the woods or the street, some kind of a highway. I don't know. So they take him out there, and this is where the twist comes into fruition. So all this hinges on the fact that she's still alive. Okay, so they find a body bag out in the middle of the woods. He's there. The detective's there. His team, whatever. They bring out the body out of the woods, open up the body bag, and guess who's in it? It's his wife. So she's dead. She is dead. The body is right there. So that kills his whole theory that she was concocting this whole thing. So what the heck? Was he imagining it all this whole time? He couldn't have. He had physical proof. He ate physical proof. So that can't be right. But he doesn't know what to do. He just kind of falls onto the ground. It looks like he's crazy. He tried to hit. Not crazy. It makes it look like, well, he's already confessed to the murder, so they got him on that. But it also looks like he was trying to hide the body so that there wouldn't be no autopsy. So it looks like he hit the body, and nobody believes him when he says he doesn't, right? He doesn't know what's going on anymore. Then he decides to run off because he doesn't want to get arrested. So he runs off into the woods, and the one detective follows him into the woods, and then we get the truth. So the guy collapses on the ground. Something's wrong. It turns out, let me see. The detective mentions that it's been 8 hours. We've been interrogating you for 8 hours, and that's key to the whole thing. That's key. We find out that it was about 10 years ago when he and his wife, the detective, and his 9-year-old daughter were inside of in the car. So him, his wife, and his 9-year-old daughter, 10 years ago, were in a car together. When a car out of nowhere hit them, bam, boom, and his wife was near death. Like half her face broke off, and you could see her teeth like coming out of the side. It was like Attack on Titan, one of the giants. Crazy. And then they didn't get to see who, but the other person just drove off and left them there defenseless. They couldn't, apparently for some reason they couldn't call. They didn't have a phone, I guess. Anyway, it turns out that it was the guy who ran into them was our murderer guy who killed his wife. In the car was Maker, and she's the one who tells him just drive off. And he's like, but it's a little girl. And he says, and then she was like, just drive, because she didn't want to get any attention. So they drove off because, and that's what started all of this. Now the detective couldn't see the car, but his daughter did. 10 years later, she or sometime later, years later, she remembered the license plate number, and it took him years. But the detective found he had nothing better to do. He found the person who the license plate would belong to, and without his knowledge, his daughter tracked him down and went to one of his classes, and later on became his girlfriend. So that was the girl. The girl was actually the guy's detective's daughter, who he was cheating on his wife with. And she had to be sure. She said she wasn't sure if he meant to do it or whatever. I don't know. So, or maybe it wasn't him. So she slept with him. That was weird. But she slept with him in order to, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would you be okay with your daughter sleeping with the guy who did all this just to, wow, she's, like, revenge means everything to these guys. That, you would even be okay with your daughter sleeping with the enemy, literally. So, and figuratively, literally sleeping with the enemy. So she found out the truth about him, and then they concocted the plan. Plan was when she found out that she like I said, she convinced him to kill his wife. So he killed the wife for her, and then when they took the body out of the morgue to make him think she was still alive, and eventually confessed to the murder of killing his wife, and that's how they would get the revenge. No, it wasn't just that. Now, if you remember earlier, the TH16 medicine or whatever, kills you in 8 hours afterward. No, it kills you 8 hours later, or something like that, or well, I don't know. I forget if it kills you in 8 hours. I guess it must have killed him 8 hours, because that's what happened. 8 hours later, it dissolves out of your system or something, or it kills you 8 hours after you take it. That was it, and then it dissolves out of your system hours later, and then no evidence is left behind. Breathe. So what happened was, back at the house, before he even got to the morgue to be interrogated, the detective's daughter, his girlfriend, gave him a bottle of wine, and then that was the poison. Same thing what he did to his wife. And so he was dying already before he even got to the morgue. And so that also means he was probably out of it for a bit too. So that might make sense why he's still seeing hallucinations. But yep, and then it ends with him pretty much dying, or almost dead, paralyzed on the ground or whatever, looking up at a detective's face, staring down at him. And what did he say? I forget. He said some kind of poetic line that was said earlier. It's like, he just said TikTok. This is very out of place. I don't know. But then that was it. Movie was good. It was okay. I wouldn't watch it again though. I was gonna watch it with some family members, but I don't know if I want to show it. It's some pretty cool stuff, and I know some people who like it, who like the mystery of it, but I don't know. I saw the twist coming, so it can't be the best twist in the world, and I was expecting something else, I guess. I like that it was starting to veer off into sci-fi elements, which was kind of cool. Supernatural, like the others, but ultimately, I think in this case, this is a movie that I wouldn't mind seeing a remake of, because I think the movie fully works on. It's entirely depending on who's playing the characters, I think, because I didn't know anybody in this movie. I feel like I didn't care as much about them. It was just a bunch of random strangers. I mean, sometimes that works in the movie's favor, but in this case, I didn't really care for that. I didn't know anybody. I didn't care about anybody really. And I get that we're supposed to hate him a lot because of the way he looks, so that the whole movie is a revenge tale on him. But I didn't really care for him that much. I mean, he didn't grab me as somebody to be super hated, because I didn't really know him of the characters or something. I feel like if the movie was recast and like for me, American made, English made version of it, and the characters were people I knew who I would love to hate, somebody in that role, I can imagine. I can't really think of anything, but I know there's like a lot of people who could play that kind of super hated kind of guy, and then the detective was somebody with a riveting personality, like maybe Benedict Cumberbatch. The Cumberbatch. He might make a great detective with that piercing eyes of his and cute accusational look, But yeah, I feel like you could use a redone cast with that. Would probably work better in that regard. People you love to, the one thing I will say is that as hated as much as you were supposed to hate that guy, I did feel in the end that I really felt sorry for him, because in the end, I guess none of the choices he made were his own. He had no control over anything. He got married to a lady who controlled his whole life, made him do whatever he wants, constantly reminded him that his job was from her, and if it hadn't been for her, then he would have no job anywhere at all. Combine that with his when he finally decided to kill her, he was manipulated into it by his girlfriend, who was even sleeping with him because she was trying to use him for something, for revenge. Killing the wife. He should have done something, but once again he let her walk over him. I guess part of it is he didn't do anything. He just let her walk over him. He should have got out of the car and helped, and there wouldn't have been any kind of venomosity or whatever from them. I don't think so. Not in that regards, because he would have helped. At least he would have helped. I think that's all they wanted, was someone to help them out. Call. If he could have just called, but he just walked, but they just ran off, and he listened to her, let her do that. He kills her, and that's all part of their plan. They set him up, and then he dies for it. So that means that the moment he married her, his life ended. Everything after that, everything after he married her was living hell for him, and that's so sad. It makes you really gotta think about what you're doing. Like, wow, it's only a movie in the end. But I like how if you think about it, it really sympathizes with his character. He's not 100% an evil person. Really, he was weak. That's kind of the thing. He married the wrong person, and he had no balls to say no whenever she said something, or he tried to. But like, just running over that, hitting the lady, and not doing anything about it, that was just wrong. That was just, he had no balls to just get out of the car and help. But other than that, he could have done something. I didn't stop it all. So, but still, sad. Anyway, other than that, movies are right. Like a 3 out of 5 stars or something. Not the best movie I've seen, twist wise and whatnot, but not the worst either. It was pretty well made. The lovely choreography, lovely cinematography and stuff like that. But ultimately, the movie just doesn't grab me like it might some people. The characters are just not interesting enough, and ultimately the twist I figured out. But still, check it out. For the well-constructed movie and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah. All right. I actually did a review of a movie. Oh gosh, I was like so nervous about this. I'm sweating and everything, but I did it. Yes, I feel pretty good. I feel like I could do another one right now, but I might do The Hole. I checked out The Hole. I watched that as a kid, and I know I gotta start. I can't do it right now. Okay, well that's it. The Body, 2012. I can't pronounce the Spanish version of the name. Check it out.